you've taken the 7th arpeggios and sort of combined it with a typical retro 80s sort of hard rock riff. First of all, we need to know that there are 3 very important 7th arpeggios: the major 7th, the dominant 7th, which is the major with a flattened 7th, I'm sure you heard the difference, and then the minor 7th. We started them all on the same note so you can hear the difference. There will be a 4th arpeggio, which we don't use that often, called the minor 7 flat 5. It's going to sound like this. Well, let's start with the C major 7, the first one. We start with a quick little triplet on the root note, which is fret number 3 on the 5th string. We go from there to fret 2 on the 4th, fret 5 on the 4th, and back to the root note. So slow motion, the first part. And then we jump to the octave. Remember, an octave is the same note as the root note, but higher in pitch. So if this is C, that is C. And that note is fret number 5 on the 3rd string. And we finish it off with fret number 4 on the 3rd string, which is actually the major 7th note. This is the note that gives the characteristic of C major 7 arpeggio. The entire riff slow motion. A little bit faster. And if you want to add a pinch harmonic in it too, you are welcome. Just sounds cool, that's all, but it's not necessary. The following chord is going to be D minor 7. Now all these chords I'm going to be playing can be built from the C major scale. So all the notes used will be from the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Those are the notes inside the C major scale. D minor 7, we're going to start fret number 5 on the 5th string. Okay, same little triplet. Then we're going to go to fret number 8 on the 5th string, fret number 7 on the 4th string, and return to the root note. So first part, and then we jump to the octave, and we end on the note that gives the characteristic for the minor 7, that note. So if we play the D minor 7, we're going to have this shape is exactly the same shape as we're going to use for E minor 7. So we need to learn that the shapes are constant depending on the chord type. So if I have minor 7, I play this shape with pinch harmonics optional. And if it was a major 7 that I needed to have, I would have done this. Very different sound there. But anyway, back to E minor 7. Starting fret 7, string 5. Same shape as the D minor 7. The following one, F major 7, starts fret 8, because that's where F is found on the 5th string. We're going to cross to fret 7 on the 4th, pinky on the 4th, back to 8, the root note. And we cross to the octave. What's interesting to know is that the octave is always 2 frets down and 2 strings across from the starting note. So if F is here, I go 1, 2 strings down and 2 frets up from the starting note, and that's my octave. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's do the F major 7, and we're going to end on the characteristic of it, which is going to be there. Off we go. 3 and 4. Next up, the dominant seventh. Now that is also a major 7, starting, or major chord rather, sorry, but the 7th note is flattened. So we're not going to go there, we're going to go there instead. So we have the G major arpeggio, not major 7. We cross over to the octave, and instead of playing what we'd expect there, dominant 7 means flattened 7, we play there. A minor 7 next, starting at fret 12. We've done the minor 7 shapes already for D minor and E minor 7ths. We're going to have and now comes that rare one we don't really use that often, the minor 7 flat 5. In the key of C, it's B minor 7 flat 5. Starting at fret 14, onto fret 17, onto fret 15 of the 4th string, back to the root note, octave, and the 7th note, the minor 7th note. So minor 7 flat 5 is going to go from the B and we finish off with the C major 7 because we're back to the root, and we've changed the picking pattern just to make it resolve and end off a little bit nicer, and also to make sure we focus that we've changed the riff. So now it's going to go like that. Now what you want to learn from this so far is in every single major key, the sequence starting on the first note will build the major 7th chord. The second note will give us minor 7, third note minor 7, fourth note major 7, fifth note dominant 7, sixth minor 7, 7 is minor 7 flat 5, and octave is simply repeating the first. Let's see if you can play through with me now the whole way through, really slow. Major 7, 2 and 3 and 4. One last thing before we close off, I want us to get to understand the concept of a minor 7, dominant 7th, and major 7. The trick is, let's start with the C because we can, that's where we started. If you go from C to its octave, which is C, the major 7 is always the note just before the octave. So that is the major 7th, no matter where it was. If I was in the key of E major, for example, which is there's E, and I was thinking E major scale, I would go from here to my octave and the major 7th would be there. So to summarize, your major 7 is the note that's a semitone before the octave, and it's the 7th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the major scale, and there's the octave we spoke about. When we get to the dominant 7th, we take that major 7 and we flatten it. So if we're in the key of C, your octave is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, major 7, and we flatten that to the dominant 7th. Now dominant 7th and minor 7ths have got something in common. The 7th note is the same, but the beginning of the triad is different. So a major triad with a flattened 7th we call dominant. There's the flattened 7th. A major triad with a normal major 7th. Hear the difference? And then with the minor we're going to have a different scale, the minor scale. And you'll notice that it's a minor triad with the flattened 7th. So the minor 7th is also 2 notes before the octave. So that's your octave, minor 7. Octave, dominant 7. octave major 7. I hope you enjoy.